Seeing James Gunn's Superman was a beyond impactful experience for me. It reignited the love I had for this character that recent iterations and the whole evil Superman trend I'd not felt in 6-7 years. And after Peacemaker Season 2 expanded on Lex Luthor's journey and the whole DC universe as we know it, I can't help but want and feel a need to talk about the future of the DCU and these projects that I'm beyond excited for going forward. Case in point, Man of Tomorrow, which James Gunn announced a little while ago now. Man of Tomorrow is not a Superman sequel, although I think we all thought it was when it was announced. So what is Man of Tomorrow? Well, before I get too fanficky with it, I'm no writer, nor would I claim to be, especially to the caliber of James Gunn and the other brilliant minds at the DCU. Now, James Gunn has said Lex Luthor will have a more prominent role in Man of Tomorrow. And I'm sure you've all seen the screenshots, they're probably in the thumbnail. It's very clear Lex has a prominent role in the film, but I don't think he's just going to have a prominent role. I think that Man of Tomorrow is going to be a Lex Luthor movie. I think that Lex will be our point of view character for majority, if not all of the film, and I think that the story will primarily be about Lex and his journey to redeem himself after the actions and events of Superman. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you know the basic premise of Man of Tomorrow that we've heard. So far, all we know about the movie is that it's a Lex Luthor Superman team up. You know, they have to team up to reluctantly fight this larger than life, biggest threat we have seen at this point in the DCU. In my opinion, this threat has got to be Brainiac. Arguably Superman's greatest villain, greatest adversary, other than Lex himself. Brainiac is an alien cyborg from the planet Kolu in the source material. Man of Tomorrow, if you will. Such a dumb joke. He's known to be one of the smartest, if not the smartest being in DC, and is constantly studying and researching other planets in the universe. This obsession becomes collection as Brainiac shrinks and kidnaps these entire planets, turning them to trinkets he stores on his badass skull ship. James Gunn, there better be a badass alien skull ship. If I don't see a flying skull when we see Brainiac, I'm not going to do very much because look at me, but I won't be happy, and that's a promise. So going off what we know so far and what we've talked about so far, I'd bet Brainiac is the main villain, as I've said. And if you know me, I love to bet. Now you're probably asking yourself, why am I watching this bonehead? And you'd be right to do that, but please, please keep watching because first of all, the video does get better than this, I promise. And also, silly internet numbers control my mood, so it'd mean the world if you could watch the video and talk about it. Thank you, shilling aside.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
You're also probably wondering, what does this have to do with Lex Luthor? If this is supposedly a Luthor film, I know. Should have been a psychic. Jokes aside, let me tell you, that joke wasn't it. Have any of them been it?
No.
When Man of Tomorrow was announced, James Gunn, David Corenswet, and Nicholas Hoult all took to Instagram to post these pictures. The first image, drawn by the timeless Jim Lee, depicts them as mates with how gingerly Superman leans on Lex and how Superman smirks at him. This next image was posted by James Gunn. Now, not to read too much into this, that's a lie, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. James being the one to post this shows, in my opinion, from a directorial perspective at least, this film is going to be a buddy cop film, a potentially fun and very interesting concept between Lex and Big Blue. The next image here was drawn by one of, if not my favourite comic book artist, Jorge Jimenez. This was posted by David Corenswet and it shows them working together, albeit through gritted teeth. This isn't a unique trope by any means, but it's still fun and it's been done before in great movies like, oh god. The third and final image, done by the incredibly talented Mitch Gerards, was posted by Nicholas Hoult, who plays Lex Luthor. The image also shows Superman and Lex fighting, but not side by side like the last image. This shows them fighting each other. Traditional, yes, for Superman and Lex Luthor, but not in line with everything else that's been posted. If the last two posts were from their character slash positional points of view, this to me is from the perspective of Lex Luthor, and despite them working together, this will be a contest for him, as it always is, because he hates Superman. This, although the art might disagree, it's a battle of wits. His brains fighting Superman and Superman's outreach, and using his power and his influence to try and undermine Superman as a hero and show that Lex is a hero too, at least to the DC universe and the people within it. I'm sure we know the truth, I hope. This would also be perfectly in line with the pure and unadulterated hater version of Lex Luthor that we got. So brilliantly done by Nicholas Hoult, by the way, in Superman. This might be a crazy take, and I love you, Michael Rosenbaum, but is Nicholas Hoult the best Lex Luthor we've seen? That could be recency bias. I hold myself accountable. The name of the movie being Man of Tomorrow is also an important detail, at least in my opinion, as this whole video has been. We've already touched on how Man of Tomorrow could be in reference to Brainiac, the supposed villain of the movie, although it was through a very shitty joke and I can only apologise. But the title could also be in reference to Superman. I mean, it's been his title since 1939. The phrase "a man of tomorrow" describes someone who puts the future and societal advancement first, even if it does come with a side of uber narcissism. That describes Lex. It's not some inherent want or need to destroy that makes him the villain he is. It's because he's so infatuated with himself and what he feels he can do for humanity, and he feels so undermined and this unbridled hatred for a genuine pillar of hope. He essentially says this himself in Superman, in one of my favourite scenes of the movie, this expertly done monologue about envy.
My envy is a calling. It is the sole hope for humanity, because it is what has driven me to annihilating you. What a...
You might still not be sold on the idea that this is a Lex Luthor movie, and I get that, but I do have one more point I want to bring up. And this point is arguably the most important point, and that's why? Why would Man of Tomorrow, this movie following Superman, using an iconic Superman title as the film's name, be about Lex? Because Lex Luthor is going to redeem himself. Now, I do not by any means want to see Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor, join the Justice League or become a good guy, by any means. What I mean is that within Metropolis and in the universe that's been so already masterfully done by James Gunn, and I have only high expectations going forward, the people within that universe will fall in love with Lex once again. He will rebuild his trust in the public, or at least a portion of them. Maybe the world can be divided and split on how to feel about Lex Luthor. Have crowds on both sides of the fence, some acknowledging what he did in Superman, and some choosing to forget it because of his promises and what he's done within Man of Tomorrow. And I think that could be a very interesting and unique dynamic throughout the film. Almost similar to the Twitter monkeys from the first Superman, except instead of monkeys that are brainwashed, it's people that are brainwashed. Not literally brainwashed like some superhero gimmick, but just falling for propaganda and believing in false hope and false pretenses to get behind this idea of what Lex Luthor wants to be seen as, and having that dynamic with the crowd that don't believe Lex Luthor. They've seen Lex Luthor, they know Lex Luthor from the first film, to acknowledge Lex Luthor, regardless of his attempts to redeem himself. Ultimately, I see Lex Luthor regaining power, and most importantly, I see him regaining confidence, not within himself, but brought on by those around him. Otis, all the team we've seen in Superman, and also the general public who've really fallen for Lex because of the actions of this movie and really adore him and have full faith in him. Be it through fear-mongering or manipulation, he will regain his power within the DC universe. But he will not be the Lex Luthor that they see, or that he wants them to see. He's gotten back into that place of power not to do good or protect the people, but to use that power not for a better tomorrow like some people. He wants to use that power to destroy the Man of Tomorrow we know, and the symbol of hope for so many people. Even the followers of Lex can understand and appreciate the importance and hope that Superman inspires, all for their leader and icon to use the position they gave him to destroy it. He wants this position of power to push his narrative, his agenda, and that agenda and that narrative is that Superman is not a symbol of hope for humanity, and he's in spite of humanity. He's an alien that Lex wants to destroy so bad. It's all he wants He's made that very clear himself. But hearing that back, that sounds totally and utterly unrealistic, right? But how do you feel about Man of Tomorrow? Am I onto something? Did I miss the mark? Should I kill? Sound off in the comments below. I will be reading every single one. I would love to talk more about not just Man of Tomorrow, but the DCU in general, other upcoming superhero projects or franchises. Just in general, as the name implies, I quite like to yell. But please do keep it civil and respectful. I may be a gimp and pretty stupid at times, but that does not excuse you being an ass to me or anyone else in the comment section. And of course, I want to clarify, I could be miles off with this Man of Tomorrow thing. I could be so off the mark that I'm going to look like a fool when this film comes out. And this video is going to age like milk. I would also like to quickly add a special thank you in here, not that I expect him to see this, to an amazing creator within the online superhero, comic book, whatever this space is where we talk about superheroes, comic books, upcoming superhero projects, whatever you call this space. You probably know him, and that's TroyoBoyo17. I've been a fan of his, and he's been an inspiration of mine for a long time now, dating back to his first Spider-Man Homecoming video, all the way back when that film came out. He actually gave me some advice quite a few years ago now about this whole content creation thing. Words that I've looked back on and have used to finally help me bite the bullet on content creation. On the topic of shoutouts, I also want to shout out my Discord community. It will be linked below if you want to join. We play games, talk about nerdy topics just like this one, generally hang out, or if you just want to post memes about my stupid face, we would love to have you in our Discord community. I also want to give a special shout out to some of my Twitch viewers who you will find in said Discord community. They've supported me directly ever since I started this whole content creation thing, even on other platforms. For subscribing to me, for spending time with me, I can only thank you so much. And to list off some names, I want to thank Johnny HT, Solarify, Sasuke I Found Diamonds, Dark Y00, Regal Kitchen, Lacey, Mojo005, G4 and Angel for all being amazing Twitch viewers and subscribing to me over there. It genuinely means more than you know. But the most important shout out that I want to get in here is you. Shout out to you and thank you for watching this video. I can't imagine it was an easy watch. I appreciate you all for being here. I would love to speak to some of you in the comments, and I hope I can catch at least some of you in my next video. Thank you.